What's up, everybody? I hope y'all are having a wonderful day. I'm Anthony. On today's episode, we're going to go over 5 reasons why you should start growing your own food. But first, I got to show you the intro, so I'll be back in 5 seconds. Alright, so on today's video, I wanted to go over with y'all a question that I usually get all the time, and that is going to be, why do you grow your own food? Or better yet, why don't you just buy it out of a store? So I figured I would do a top 5 to give you 5 reasons why I grow my own garden, because I think a lot of this stuff could actually lead to a good conversation with some people. And usually 9 times out of 10, when someone asks me this and I give them one of these answers, because I gauge based on the person which answer that would probably fit them the best, it usually leads them walking away either wanting to try it themselves or at least have a good understanding as to why we do it. So if you're on the fence about growing a garden, welcome to this video. Hopefully you find something enlightening. If you already have a garden, hopefully this video will help you explain to other people why we do it. That way we can get more people on board, because the more people that are on board, the less people we have kind of clinging to the system. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so number 1, first and foremost, this is the whole reason why I'm doing this whole channel, this whole thing, why I bought my property in the middle of nowhere, why I'm doing the whole self-reliance thing. This is why. Because I prefer quality and variety. Let me explain. When you go to a grocery store, you are at the mercy of whatever's on the shelf. And 9 times out of 10, what's on the shelf is going to be the best shelf life, easiest to buy, most mass-produced whatever they can possibly find to put on the shelves. Because supermarkets are just like any other business. They care about that bottom line and the profit margin. And the profit margin in most supermarkets is extremely small. So if they can get something that stays on the shelf even 5 days longer, they're gonna do it. They'll sacrifice flavor for shelf life every single time. That's why if you go to a farmer's market, you're more likely to find better quality and more variety, because they don't care about shelf life. They care about giving quality food. And that's why I put that as my number 1, because I care about quality food. And it's amazing how many different varieties of everything there is out there, and you would never know unless you grow your own. That brings me to my number 2, and that one's going to be financial. Yeah, there are people out there who grow food because they're kind of poor, and that's fine. But there's also people out there who are very financially well off that still grow their own food. But it makes a lot of financial sense to grow your own, especially if you go through a lot. Now, there's people out there who do not cook at home, who eat out all the time. It doesn't make sense for you to, grow food if you don't cook at home. However, if you do, and you enjoy saving a little bit of money, and you go through a lot of things like tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, something like that, why would you not want to grow your own and save yourself some cash? Literally 1 potato, which you can get for what, 60 cents? If it starts growing eyes, you can chop that potato up into 4 or 5 seed potatoes, depending on the type of potato. Plant those, and that 1 potato can give you 30. That's how easy it is, as long as you have the space and the time for it. One thing I also wanted to mention is the fact that we are seeing, as of April 2021, a massive increase in pricing. Things like corn are at a 7-year high. Wheat is at an 8-year high. Hogs, the price of your bacon is at a 7-year high. And just for you, Steve, over at Corsair Trainers, the price of coffee is at a 3-year high. We are seeing companies like Coca-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Hormel, they are all increasing pricing, thinking that you won't notice, because they're going to start with some specials and they're going to dial it back. So every company out there, because their competition's been gone from the pandemic, half the companies are out of business, the remaining companies are now raising the price for you. So financially, it only makes sense to be able to grow your own. That brings me to my number 3, and that one is going to be your health. Now, a lot of people out there don't care anymore, but they really should, because the price of medical stuff is becoming so expensive. It only makes sense to do things preventatively, to take care of yourself. And I know for a fact, because I'm in the millennial generation, that a lot of my peers do not eat vegetables. I remember growing up, sitting at my dinner table, my mom told me I couldn't leave the table until I finished my vegetables. And I like vegetables. There are kids out there who do not eat anything that's green. What do you think that's going to do to those kids as they grow up? They're going to take those bad habits, they're going to eat like crap, probably a whole bunch of processed food, and they're going to become overweight, probably suffer from some form of heart disease and diabetes as they age. Then when they have kids, they're going to put those same values to them, so we're just making generation after generation of unhealthy Americans. And so we need to break that, and the one good way to do that is to get them out, get your kids out especially, into the garden, because there is a science, there is proof out there that shows if you actually grow your own vegetables and you have your kids with you, they are more inclined to eat those vegetables because they put the work in to growing them. So if you can get your kid to even eat 2 more vegetables than they never would have, just by being out in the garden with you growing them so they can taste what they grew, then it's only going to be better for them because there's a good chance they will delay that onset of diabetes or they will lead a much healthier lifestyle. Now that brings me to number 4, and this one's one of my personal favorites. By growing your own food is basically a middle finger to authority, to the government. Because when you are able to grow your own food, you are essentially printing money. Because you are no longer at the mercy of a store, you are no longer at the mercy of paying taxes on what you just grew. Now, for some reason, I don't understand why, but we have allowed localities, federal government, whoever, to tax food. There's something fundamentally wrong with that. You shouldn't be taxing people on something they need to survive. Well, that's exactly what's happening, because every time you go to the grocery store, you have to pay some form of a tax, which I think is wrong on so many levels. But by being able to grow your own food, you're not being taxed. You're being able to get things, make your own, paying no taxes, and you're able to show the government that you can take care of yourself. Because let's be honest here, whenever someone wants to control you, what's one of the best ways they can do that? By controlling your food supply. They can't control your food supply, they can't control you. Congratulations. That's why this is so important. Okay, so that brings me to my last one, number 5, safety. Hear me out. How many times a year do you hear, every single year, some form of recall on a leafy green? Why would people eat salads, spinach, whatever else if every single year there's always some major outbreak of E. coli or listeria? Always. These companies like Dole, whoever else, Walmart, you name them, they are always issuing some form of safety recall because their food is tainted. I cannot tell you how many times I don't buy lettuce anymore. I just grow it my own. Lettuce is one of the easiest possible things to grow. Here, the only time it doesn't grow is in the dead of winter and in the dead heat of summertime. But in the springtime and fall, you can grow all the lettuce you possibly want. It is very easy to grow lettuce. It's almost a set it and forget it kind of thing. So I highly suggest if you have the opportunity, please consider doing that. But when it comes down to food safety, that is a humongous bonus, because if you are in control of your own food and you're growing your own, you know that you're not spraying it with things that would cause E. coli or listeria. You know the food handling practices because you're probably going to wash your hands whenever you pick something, and you're going to wash it when you bring it inside, so you know what you're getting. So food safety is important, and I highly suggest if you are concerned about it, you start growing your own. Alright, so that is my list of 5 things. I do have one more little bonus thing. One of the best parts about growing your own food is the fact that if something does happen to the supply chain, because it is so fragile, you're kind of insulated from that because you grow your own. Now, another thing I wanted to add is the whole goal here is not trying to grow every single thing you need to eat. That is almost impossible, and there's very few people that can actually do that. The entire goal here is to make sure that you're supplementing. By supplementing, you can take something that you normally use a lot, like say potatoes, growing your own, so that's one less thing you have to buy. Or if you would like to have a little bit extra flavor for your food, you can grow your own herbs. It doesn't take that much space, and you no longer have to buy them, because I know herbs can get expensive. So just these few little steps that you can take by planting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many plants you want to, can really help you out in the long run. I hope this video helped you. I hope if you are considering growing your own garden, this video will push you to that next level to try at least one thing this year. It's still early April. You totally can do it. I know you can. If you learned something from this video, please do me a humongous favor and give me a thumbs up. It really does help out my channel. Subscribe, and I'll catch y'all on the next one, okay? Bye.